Volume 2 gets a 10. It's just, I didn't see any of this coming and just like, wow. Wildest dreams. This is amazing. Okay.
Wildest dreams. Cheers, queers. What's on the big gay agenda today, Theora?
Today, it's book club part 2, where we will be discussing the second volume of The Loyal Pin by Monmaw. Woo!
Woo!
Get ready for the epic conclusion of this series. Or is it? We'll find out.
Is it? That is a good question.
Is it? I'll let you know at the end. All right, cool. So in this episode, like I mentioned, we'll be discussing volume 2 of The Loyal Pin. If you missed volume 1, it's out. Go listen to it and come back. This is not a discussion about the TV show because it's not out at the time that we're filming this. However, we will be discussing what we do know about the TV show up until this point. So if you haven't read the book or haven't seen the show and don't want to be spoiled, like skip this for now, come back later when you have a context. If you don't care and you're like, spoil me of all the things, you're in the right place because we will be doing our best to spoil you of all the things.
Yes. All right. Before we... Never mind. Let's back up a second. If you have any books or media you would like us to cover, please let us know in the comments. Or even in a review to get you to review more.
That'd be great. We'll get to it eventually.
If you're watching on YouTube, please like this video, leave a comment below about your thoughts related to the episode or whatever, just comment. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss anything. If you're listening, please rate and review wherever you can review podcasts. If you are enjoying our content and you want early access, full reaction videos, and a lot more, go head over to our Patreon for $5 a month. You get all our old content, exclusive content that we do not put on YouTube. Sometimes that happens. Definitely full length because we can't put the full versions of reactions on YouTube, but they're super fun. So
anything we will be covering for the Loyal Pin that involves reacting. So right now, at this point, we have teasers, trailers. We'll probably do episodes later down the road. The full thing, sometimes the entire season, gets put on Patreon and not on YouTube. So if you're a fan of that, of the Loyal Pin, FreenBecky stuff, we did all of Gap. It's chilling on Patreon, so go watch it over there.
If you want to scream about this book, series, FreenBecky, whatever it may be, come join us in our Discord, where we love chatting to all of you.
There is FreenBecky screaming in there, for sure.
Lastly, make sure you're connected with us on all social media platforms. We have too many. It's an issue, but it's a good issue, I guess. But at Big Gay Energy Pod on all the things. Come find us.
Come find us, come chat. And now, let's get into The Loyal Pin, Volume 2. Again, it was written by Monmaw. The translation that we read the English translation, which was translated by Pilak and Enki. Thank you both for your contribution to the Big Gay Energy podcast and the world.
It's funny because it's lock and key.
I know, it's great.
Show.
Also, just what a great pairing. Okay, so what is the volume 2 about? Here's the synopsis I think I found on Goodreads. We'll find out. It's a period girl love novel in the 1950s between Princess Anilaphat and Lady Pilantita in the Sawetari Palace. Lady Pilantita has grown up as a well-mannered young lady throughout her childhood with Princess Anilaphat, who always treated her with love, and care. Their relationship turned to be more complicated, isn't it always? Under the strict rule of the royal family. How can their love become true? Well, let's find out, shall we? But before we jump into volume 2 and all of its queerness and deliciousness, just a quick disclaimer if you weren't already aware. All hosts and attendants of the Big Gay Energy podcast today are not fluent in the Thai language. We are also not members of this culture, nor are we residents of the part of the world where this book took place. Therefore, we are limited in our perspective of this piece of media and cannot analyze it without our Western, specifically American, life experiences and biases. We did our best to research Thai culture to put this book into context, but we are not experts on this topic and wanted to be transparent before going any further. So if we get things wrong, just please correct us. Like, we are still learning. We acknowledge that we're going to miss things, we're going to analyze things differently, but like we did our best. So, with that being said, Kaitlynn, how would you summarize the Loyal Pin Volume 2 without giving away anything?
2 women just want to grow old together, but Thai society says no.
Princess Pad says no. No, that's good. That's good. Okay. For Volume 2 specifically, I think it could be summarized as the title of Princess Anil's memoir, How to Get the Girl and Destroy the Man Standing in My Way.
Destroy the man.
A memoir by Princess Anilaphat. And then Lady Pin's memoir, Getting Pinned.
All right. Getting pinned.
Getting pinned. It happens a lot.
It does.
Okay. It does. She's into it, so it's fine. Okay. So before we go any further, let's also hydrate for Lesbian Jesus. So we've read the book. How much does a Loyal Pin Volume 2 make you want to hydrate for Lesbian Jesus? If you're not familiar with this is our scale for determining how important a piece of queer media is to us. And we hydrate because water, like queer media, is essential for life. So Kaitlynn, how much would you hydrate for Lesbian Jesus for the Loyal Pin Volume 2?
8.
8. I'm going to give it a 9 again. You know what? This gets a 10 because I didn't see the ending coming truly in all of its glory, and like, wow,
this was actually, okay, that ending, that was a good ending.
Also, Anil destroying the man.
That whole conversation between, this is non-spoiler, but between the 2 guys and her at the end.
Oh, yeah.
The dad, brother, and her.
Yes. Oh, yeah. The family. Yeah. Yep. This gets a 10. Volume 2 gets a 10. It's just, I didn't see any of this coming and just like, wow. Wildest dreams. This was amazing. Okay. Wildest dreams. All right. So you've been warned. We're going to spoil the shit out of Volume 2 by going over everything and probably also spoil the show because we will be incorporating stuff we've seen in the trailer, teasers, and screenshots that we found of production. So you have been warned, spoilers abound. So let's get into it. So again, Volume 1, if you didn't know, I don't know why you're starting with Volume 2, but Volume 1, just go watch that. Volume 1 ends with like Anil having to go back to Europe, and it's basically like, wait for me, Lady Pin, and that's just the end of the book because it's rude. Anyway, so this book opens with Pin and Anil basically dealing with hopefully what is their final separation. And Anil is in England, and now she's fending off suitors because she's in her 20s. So it's like time to wife you up to somebody. And she's like, I already have plans about that. Absolutely not. But her brother, the Grand Prince, is helping her get rid of men, like that he deems, quote, unworthy, which is literally everyone. So that sets the tone for how like marrying off Anil is going in her family. And he makes several comments along the lines of, I want a daughter just like Anil one day, and just put a pin in that. Also literally. All right. Then there's Kunun, or Alyssara Sweatapet. I think is how you say her name. Basically, she's the daughter of the Thai ambassador. And so she's also in Europe, like for schooling and things like that. And she's super into Anil. Like, it's just wow. Like, everyone's in love with Anil. It's kind of like the theme of this book. And like some people are in love with Pin. That's kind of how Volume 2 goes. Whereas like Volume 1 was everyone's in love with Pin somehow. This is really good. Pin. In the first volume. She's the one with all the suitors, and like Prick and Anil have to get the suitors away from her. Whereas in Volume 2, it's like Anil has all these suitors out of nowhere that are getting really like handsy and shit. So anyway, they have basically like Anil's friends with this girl because like, I mean, Anil's a sweet person. She makes friends with everybody, but really she's like, she's my tether to Thailand when I'm away. Like when I'm with her, I can speak Thai, and like she's homesick. You know, it's been a long time. She left when she was 14. Like that's a lot. So she makes friends with this girl, but then the girl is like, you should sleep over at my house once a week. And I was like, I guess. Okay. And then the girl finally like makes a move, and Anil's like, yeah, no, we're just friends. Like it was hard for her to like, she's like, I don't want to ruin this friendship because like homesickness, and you're nice, but like absolutely not. So she had to like reject her, but it's like Anil rejecting people she cares about on a friendship level is like, it's hard. It's something that Anil like struggles with a lot. She's like, I don't want to like hurt people and stuff, but like also like when the time comes, she's like, yeah, no, this is not happening.
She focuses on all the class reasons of why they can't be together, and then the last thing she says, also, I don't like you like that.
Yeah, she doesn't want to like hurt her, you know, be like, ew, you know? She's like, well, this can't happen for logical reasons. Don't be sad. It's logical.
I
like,
just
oh,
feel
right,
like she should start with, I'm sorry, I don't like you like that, instead of ending with it.
I know. But I think
because
in her
it's
mind,
kind of like hope with starting with the class reasons, because like, oh, if that's the only reason we can't be together is because of society. But no, it's just because.
But like that society is so ingrained in them that it's like, yeah, this can't happen because of this. Like it's never going to happen. Like it doesn't matter how we feel. Like you need to get over it. So I think it's Anil's way of like logically being like, hey, you should realize that like stop having a crush on me. It's never going to happen. Like, and then when the girl's like, I'll persist no matter what, and I was like, fine, okay, I don't like you back. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't want to hurt you by telling you that, but like I was trying to be nice and let you down easy. But like, I'm already married. It's not gonna.
I'm already married.
Pin will kill you. I was just letting you know that right now. My girlfriend will kill you. Pin would take that hairpin and be like, you know, she wants to. So many times she'll be like, I will stab you if you look at me.
I wonder if we'll get like imaginings of like what she wants to do. That would be fun.
That would be so funny.
Their inner thoughts that way.
Breen going ballistic and just like stabbing
someone. That's their
with
next
hairpins.
Show. They're like a murder mystery between the two of them.
That would also be great. Idol Factor. We're just giving you ideas here. She's really recharging you. Okay. Anyway. Okay. So I'm mentioning Kunun right now because like she pops up later in the story when we get even more into the lovers triangle fucking drama. We gave a brief intro to that in the last volume.
Like a web.
Oh, it becomes a web. It's a pyramid in this fucking book. It's insane. Okay. But the most disturbing thing that happens to Anil when she's abroad is the librarian Helen. What the fuck was this? Remember, Anil at her oldest is in her 20s, like early 20s. She's 20 years old right now. This is a weird suitor that comes out of nowhere. This woman is 40. Okay, she's at least twice Anil's age. And I'm like,
I just want to say, like, I kept rereading this because I could not understand what was happening. Because I was like, this has to be a student volunteer or something, and I just couldn't believe that a woman in her 40s had the nerve to do this.
Okay. So basically, like, she works at the library that Anil likes to go to. Because campuses have multiple libraries. So Anil likes to go to this one particular library or whatever. But she goes with her roommate. I think
it's the library from her old high school.
Sure. Yeah, you're right. And she likes to go there even though she's in university right now. And so her and her friend go there. And every time she goes there, this Helen person, like, basically, like, brings them food and, like, makes sure that, like, dotes on them, essentially. Just like the students in the library. And Anil, again, is from a culture where, like, that's what happens to her because she's the princess. So I don't think she thinks anything of it. She's just like, yeah, okay, they're bringing me snacks and shit. That's what happens when I go places. She's like, sure, whatever. But no, in England, this is weird, stranger danger behavior. And so at one point, Helen takes Anil's first kiss without consent. And I'm like, what is this? Why are we here? Poor Anil. What the fuck was this? It was so weird.
Yeah, it's speaking from experience, it is weird.
Oh my god.
It's like, it's just the worst part. Like, it's never okay to just kiss someone, especially when there was like no indication before that she was even interested in her.
She's a student coming to the library. Exactly. What are you reading here? Like, this is weird.
It's like attacking her.
It's very predatory. And like, poor Anil. Like, what? She's in a weird country and this librarian is like making moves on her. It's fucking weird. I really hope this isn't another show because it's fucking weird.
Yeah, I'm good without it.
Yeah.
Or there needs to be some consequence. I don't know, like something. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, something that I felt while reading, and I don't know if it's just a cultural thing, but the way these books made a huge deal about looks and that Anil basically blinded people with her beauty, like just the way that they kept talking about it made me uncomfortable.
Hmm.
Like there's so much more to her. Like she's so smart and incredibly kind, but now people care about her only because she's beautiful. And I just wish it wasn't so focused on her looks and we got more of like the craftiness of her, and that's why people were like, "Oh, I see, like she's so smart." But that's just me.
I mean, it's also the time period. Like, women aren't supposed to be smart. They're just
Yeah.
arm candy. And they're like, oh, a powerful woman, powerful meaning money and land, and she's hot. Like, what a package. But also, like, Anil, like, when you see her in social situations, she goes into the role of being very polite and, like, gets along with people. But, like, she's still her mischievous little self. Like, that still comes out, and things like that. But I think the emphasis is just that, like, she turns heads because she's pretty, and then, like, Pin has a justification for, like, being jealous all the time because her girlfriend's hot, and, like, people keep looking at her, and she's like, God damn it, stop looking at her. And, like, the irony, and it's like they're in the 50s where they can't officially be together, so it's like this constant friction where she's like, I can't show people she's mine, so they'll back off. So I think they're trying to, like, set that up to be like, Anil, the woman, really blossomed, and she's really pretty now, and, like, she's turning heads, and there's suitors pursuing her of all gender and relation to her by blood and, like, all this stuff. And oh
Yeah,
my
like
god,
this girl has multiple women going after her as
literally,
well
right,
in this time period.
and Idol Factory is gonna run with that shit. They're like, how can we make this even gayer than it already is? Exactly. Okay, so while Manila's having a really wild time fending again, Helen makes out with her. Like, again, like, what the fuck? Like, well, Anila's swatting off suitors of all gender and ages. Pin is back in Thailand, just, like, bored as fuck because she's just her thing, and she's just like, I'm waiting for Anil to come back because my life revolves around her. But Prick is there to watch Pin, and Prick is driving her insane. that's their dynamic. But also, like, at the same time, it's like this, like, you're driving me crazy, but also, like, Prick also understands how much Pin, not how much, but she does understand, like, missing Anil also. So they relate to each other and they provide comfort in that kind of way. And she's always being like, don't worry, Anil loves you. She won't shut the fuck up about it. I'm her best friend. I know how much she loves you, Pin. You're fine.
I kind of feel like this relationship is a love to be annoyed friendship
Yeah.
because if Prick wasn't there to annoy Pin, Pin would just be lonely. And this is someone who loves Anil just as much as she does, just in a platonic way. And
Yeah.
it really is the connection to Anil while she's away.
Yeah.
Besides the letters.
No, for sure. And, like, again, the reassurance is something Pin definitely needs because she's, like, she's quote fragile. That's how they describe her in the book, but, like, she's prone to depression and things like that. And I think Prick is helpful, even though she's, like, constantly annoying Pin, which is really funny. I can't wait for their dynamic. Okay, and then true to her pinky promise, Anil is still writing letters every day to Pin, and she's like, I'm basically dating you. So she starts sending her gifts, like, more extravagant gifts than just, like, I made you a windmill. She's like, she sends her these, like, pearl earrings, and this is really cute because, again, remember, it's the 50s. She can't be like, I love her, that's my girlfriend kind of thing. So Anil basically is like, I'm yours, let me show you in these covert ways. And this is one of the ways she does it. She sends her these pearl earrings, and on the back, like, they're studs. So on the back of, like, each earring, like, in the metal, she engraves on one the letter A and the other the letter P to be like,
we're always together.
we're together, / like, you have a piece of me, like, you're wearing my jewelry that I gave you. It's like they use the word possession a lot to be like, your mind kind of thing, we're exclusive kind of thing, is kind of like what she's doing, so that Pin can feel more secure in their relationship. And you'll see as, like, the gifts escalate, Pin's confidence in their relationship starts shifting also when she's like, okay, Anil is serious about this. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I love the way that the scene, like, during the scene before she actually gets these earrings, because she asked Prick if a letter has been sent. And Prick goes, no. And so poor Pin is so sad, but it's because she didn't ask if there was a parcel. And so Prick has a parcel hidden behind her back. And then she gives it to her, and like Pin gets so annoyed. And then Prick's like, well, you asked if there's a letter. There's no letter. It's a package. And so then Prick holds the parcel as hostage until Pin promises her food. Because of course
she does. Prick's the worst. That's
So
what I mean, long hate.
There is a letter in the package as well. And she takes the letter to the Pine Palace to read in Anil's bedroom. I think this is cute because that is now their space. Like, it's really their bedroom at this point.
Literally.
And, yeah, she doesn't have to worry about people interrupting her because I mean, it's, yeah, well, who would go there? But she can also feel closer to Anil there.
Yeah, I mean, literally, Anil built that whole place for Pin. So, like, it was always their bedroom. Like, always.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's a really good point. Oh, yeah. So, also at this point, too, like, again, it's more like this is their adult version of the adult era of their story, we'll say that, because they're like full-blown adults at this point versus like volume 1 is more like childhood through adolescence on their cusp of adulthood, but this is like full adulthood. So at this point, Pin has graduated from school entirely, and she's working at a publishing she's working as a translator at a publishing firm. So she has like a job that she actually does, like outside of just like being a lady, quote, for her aunt or whatever. But at the same time, as a woman, she is now warding off suitors. There's this guy from work, Thanet, that she's like friends with, who like super isn't important. He's just kind of there. But Kunkua, unfortunately, is still with us. He's like the disease. He's like herpes. We can't get rid of him in these books, unfortunately. Keeps flaring up, you know?
Oh, gosh. The way you describe him every single time he shows up, that's what I'm looking forward to in the show.
Am I wrong,
description?
No, you're not. Did I tell a lie? No, he's basically an STD. Okay, so that's how much I think about him. All right, so then, okay, the good thing about volume 2 is they're not separated for very long. This is pretty quick. And then, like 2 chapters later, Anil's back. But like, how she comes back, amazing. So, in this book, Anil's other brother, Prince Anand, is getting engaged, and so his ceremony happens. So, like, leading up to it, Pin's like, oh my god, Anil came back last time for the other prince's engagement. She's coming back. Oh my god. But she doesn't. And so Pin is sad. She's like, oh man, got my hopes up, whatever. So the next day, Pin goes back to the Pine Palace to like sulk, basically. And like decompress. And she goes into Anil's room. Probably exactly what you said, Kayla. She's just like, I want to be alone. This is our space. I'm going in here. She goes in the room and she's just like, she got off of work too. So she's like exhausted and then just like depressed. And she's like she's like staring at the door. She goes into the room and is like staring at the door and like spaces out and then like closes it and then like locks it for her privacy. And the minute it goes click, somebody like hugs her from behind and whispers, I missed you so much. And then again, Anil has mad game because she knew how this was going to go. And that's all I'm saying. Like this girl, like she's like lesbian Jesus level is what I'm saying. Like her game's insane. So at first, like Pin, of course, Pin doesn't react like a normal person. She's like happy, but also she's like, how dare you not tell me back? What the fuck?
I think that's fair. Okay, because Pin has made it clear that she doesn't really like it when Anil surprises her with her presence. No. Like, she's happy she's back, but she has been counting down the days until she returns. And, like, she wanted to look forward to her returning and not just be jumped and, like, almost scared to death. Also, I learned in this book that apparently surprises are a Western thing.
Interesting. I didn't know that. But yeah, that explains why Pin's not a fan. Pin's got anxiety also. She's like, I don't want to be anxious and shit. I need to know when things are happening. But from Anil's point of view, Anil's like, listen, I knew you would do that. I knew if I told you, all you would do is fixate on me and spend all this time preparing for me to come here and you would neglect yourself. And she's like, you told me in a letter that you had this really important meeting at work today. And I knew if I told you I was coming, you would miss it. So she's like, I purposely didn't tell you because I knew you had to go do the work thing. And Pin's like, you remembered my work thing? Oh my God. I only mentioned it once. And then Nil's like, very intensely, is like, I remember literally everything you tell me. Everything. That was really sweet.
Oh my gosh. No, that's fair for Anil's reason, but I do think that there's other ways for Anil to still get Pin to go to that meeting, even if she knew that Anil was coming back.
I agree, but I think Anil also wanted to surprise her because of the way this plays out.
Fair.
So, because she doesn't just surprise her with her presence, she's like, I'm here for good. Let me explain what I was doing and why, like, I didn't come back for my brother's engagement and things like my other brother. And she's like, listen, I, like, basically she, like, doubled her coursework so that she could graduate early just so she could come back to Thailand to make Pin happy. That's the lengths that Anil goes through, like, for Pin. It's really remarkable, to be honest.
Doing double the amount of work just to come back to her lover
And
who's
like,
waiting for her. This is like what the lesbians deserve, period piece of waiting for your spouse to come home.
just like her dedication to Pin is amazing. And think about that. So she like took even more classes at the end. So those are like the hardest classes. Plus she was writing letters and drawing postcards and doing that shit every single day. And like she's amazing. And then okay, so Anil's other reason that she's like, I also wanted to surprise you with sex. And this was my favorite. When Pin's like, Nilla's trying so hard. She's like, I missed you. It's been however many days or whatever. Like, we're alone. Come on. And like, you know you want to, basically. And Pin's like, Anil, how could you? It's broad daylight. Because it's like daytime. It's like sex is a nighttime thing. And Anil's like, just close your eyes then. Like, pretend it's dark. It's so funny. By the end of it, she convinces her, but it was what a line. She's like, just close your eyes. Pretend it'll be dark when you do that.
It's hilarious. Like, they can't do it during broad daylight. Like, you're in a palace alone.
In a locked room. Pin locked the room. And I was like, great, I'm so glad you did that. I don't have to lock it. So that better be in the show. That was hilarious. Oh my god.
It's
and Noah's so funny. And then I love all the stuff where and Pin is because they're flirting and decreases here too, where Pin's always like, you're such a sweet talker, because she is. So this was hilarious that she was just like, just close your eyes. It's so funny.
She's like, I don't have any energy to this. I need to get to this now. Like, we've been apart for too long.
That was the other thing. Pin's like, aren't you exhausted from that enormous transcontinental traveling you just did? And she's like, I was until you got here, and now I'm suddenly awake. That's so funny. Anil's a thirsty bitch, and I love her. She is, though. She does instigate a lot with Pin, and Pin's always like, can you not right now? And I was like, no, I have to. Don't lie. And Pin will fight her for like 2 seconds and then be like, fine.
Yes.
Okay, so we actually do quite a bit of traveling actually during this book, which is kind of cool. And so I'm excited to see some of the stuff in the show where they go to different locations. So next, the royal siblings go vacation in Hua Hin, which I think is like a beach town, I think, or at least has beautiful beaches. And
it sounds like it should be.
Yeah, and in the book, they're basically staying at one of like Anil's family properties, essentially, in that place. And the gang that goes is like the Grand Prince, Lady Pavarti, who's his wife, Vice Prince Anand, and Kunun, not Un. This is his like girl. I can't remember. They're engaged. They just got engaged, so that's his fiance. Yeah. Okay. They were courting in the last book. Kunun, so the one that likes Anil. Yes. Chow,
which for me,
gets all of
for me, I was very between that and then Lady Alisara and Alyssa.
Yeah.
however you say it. Those two, I was like, I don't know if just like it was translated weird and there was like an extra letter put into each name.
The name. They're just similar sounding names.
Yeah.
But Kunun is Alisara. That's where it gets confusing when they use like, and then they'll like use her English nickname. Hey, anyway.
What?
So,
hold on, I thought these were different people.
No.
Never mind, let's continue.
So then Chow Young Fa, I'm gonna say her name wrong. I'm sorry.
Young
Fa? Okay.
Young.
We're just gonna call her Chow because she called everybody Chow. Chow Young. Young? I don't know. God damn it. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I meant to look up all these names before we started and I forgot.
Right. Then there's Anil, Pin, Prenut, who we've met, Prick. And then there's Ply, who I think is another like servant, but I forget exactly who he is. And then Lord Kua's there.
Of course.
So there's a basically
an STD.
The STD is there. Get rid of him. Okay, so how many love triangles are in this group of people? There's so many.
I tried to count, and I think it's 4 or 5, which is a lot.
Yeah, I think it's at least. Well, I mean, if you count, I think 4 or 5. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, and it keeps getting murkier the more we hang out with some of these characters. I'm like, are you into this person? Like, what is happening? Anyway, so this is okay. So basically, they're alone in this private estate, essentially, and it's Anil and Pin. This is their first like trip away, but they're with all these people. So it goes and exactly as you'd imagine. There's a lot of jealousy that happens here. So, true to form, Pin is jealous of everybody who looks at Anil. Because remember, we spent all this lead up being like, Anil's real hot now. Okay, this is why. Because Pin is like, wow, that person's looking at you. Wow, that person's looking at you. And then like she keeps making all these jabs at Anil that are super funny.
I wonder if a dog looked at her, if she'd be jealous.
I think if a dog paid attention to Anil, she'd be like, I wish I was that fucking dog. Like, yeah, Pin is that level of jealous. Yeah. Okay, but the person she's most jealous of is Kunun. Kunun. Because she comes out in a swimsuit. Okay. So there's like skin on display. And Pin keeps bringing this up to Anil constantly. And she keeps like low-key trying to be like, were you checking her out? I can't believe you. And like when they're at the way she does it is so funny. They're out by the ocean. And Pin asks Anil, she's like, was the ocean white? And Anil's like, which is aka like where you're checking out Kunun's like light skin is what she's trying to say. And I was like, what are you talking about? The ocean's blue. Like, what do you mean? It keeps pushing it until like and making it more explicit until and I was like, she's like, I don't know. I was too busy looking at you. I don't know what you're talking about. Like again, sweet talker and no, but her jealousy is so fucking funny sometimes. She's like Okay. But it's not one-sided jealousy because Anil is also jealous. But she's jealous of actual people that are hitting on Pin, so it's a little bit different. Okay, so I mentioned that I think in the first volume, it doesn't matter. So Prenut goes from like being into Anil to being into Pin on this trip for some reason because he's just a puppy looking for love. He's just like, I want a girlfriend. She's single. I'm trying to talk to her, and Anil has to like talk him out of it, and it's so fucking funny. So he's like, this is after like the women are in swimsuits and like. Oh my god. So I'm sorry. All the girls are in swimsuits and they come out of the ocean and Pin like throws towels at them because she doesn't want Anil checking them out. It's so funny. And then some of the men are like, and Prenut here is like, damn, I should have done that. I should have brought them towels. But like Pin is doing it because she's jealous and doesn't want Anil to look at them, which is so funny. Anyway, so Prenut's like, oh man, later to Anil, he's like, oh, it's a shame that Pin wasn't swimming because she would be wearing a bathing suit. And he's like checking her out while he's saying this next to Anil, which is obviously not a good thing. And so in the book, they're like, oh, like Anil's voice gets really chilly. And she's like, don't you dare talk about Lady Pin like that. Like basically puts him in his, and he's like, oh, this is weird coming from you. And then she like, they start bantering and she's like, crap, I got to get this man off of her. And he's like expressing to her. He's like, look, I want a girlfriend and just like, I'm trying to meet people. He's basically harmless, but Anil's like, stay away from that one. And wait, so Anil's basically like, well, it's going to be tough on this vacation because basically everybody's taken. And I just told you have to stay away from Pin because she's mine. So Anil's like, there's Prick left. And then Prenut says, actually, I might prefer to remain single.
I read that and I was kind of appalled. I'm like, Prick is a catch, okay?
She is a catch. I agree.
Like,
but okay, but
asshole.
remember, Pin's like her lady being a lady skills are non-existent. So I think that's what he's like, she's not exactly a lady. But yeah, Prick is fucking awesome, man. You should be so lucky. But it was a funny line where she's like, maybe I'll stay single. Oh my god. Sorry, there's a lot of hydrating needs to happen for this book. Especially
it
this
really
scene.
is.
Okay.
I'm feeling it.
Oh my god, we just got started. We didn't even get to the craziest shit yet in this book. I can't wait for this book to get adapted because oh my god, the drama in here is real funny. Okay. So Anila and Pin go on this like private walk along the beach. And by private, I mean Prick is with them. And this for sure is happening in the show because there's some stills of like just the two of them on the beach, like kind of having a moment. I'm sure Prick is eating shrimp or something in the background. Like, let's be real. Let's be real. She's catching crabs.
Color-coded.
They are color coded and they're pink and they're blue because of course they are. Okay, and so they have this like talk right on the beach where Anil promises to never leave Pin again. She's like, "Look, I came back early." So I wouldn't have to go back to school so that we don't have to be separated like ever again. And she tells Pin that like part of my plan is because she finished university basically and will go on to do a master's degree. So like Pin's worried like, okay, for now you're done, but you're probably gonna go back. And Anil's like, no, I arranged it with my father's advisors. And I'm gonna do my master's degree in Thailand. Like I'm not leaving again. And just like that means the world to Pin. It's very sweet.
I mean, it is. It's very sweet.
It is.
But something that I hope is in this vacation, I want to see Prick make all the seafood, quote, like she is in intense competition with someone. I'm like, there's no one else making
yes.
I want to see what that means.
I also want to see, because there's like a grill off that's happening. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Time to hydrate. Okay, then another delicious jealous Anil, and this scene, I need this. Okay, so later that night, basically like Anil's alone in her room, and she's like basically waiting for Pin to make an excuse to come to her room, and she looks out. I think actually, wait, no, Anil gets out of dinner basically by saying like she develops a headache and she like retires to her room basically, and she's waiting for Pin to show up because obviously. And the description of this is really funny where she like pretends to have the headache and then like all the women who are into her like fighting over her basically at the dinner table and she's like, I think I actually have a headache. So funny. So she's waiting for Pin, obviously. And from her room, she looks outside and it's dark, but she spots Pin outside with Kua and it looks like they're on a walk. And really like Pin was socially forced into this situation with him, but like Anil doesn't realize that yet. And there's an important thing that she thinks in this moment where she's like, it's the first time when Anil realized that Lord Kua would have more of a chance of possessing Pin than she would. Meaning that like he's very persistent in like going after her and he's like, because he's a man, he can actually marry her and I can't legally do that. So like, fuck, like he really is competition. I've been like underestimating him because he's a fucking walking STI and I hate him basically. So the way Pin gets out of this interaction is Prick comes and saves her basically and like makes up some excuse and like pulls Pin away from him essentially. And then Anil keeps watching and when it's just Kua alone, he like loses his cool completely and like beats up a bush basically. And that's when Anil's like, okay, this guy is good on paper, but he has like anger issues and he's violent and he really needs to stay the fuck away from Pin.
There are a lot of red flags.
So many.
Especially in this book.
Mm-hmm. He is a walking red flag, for sure. So later that night, Pin, as predicted, like sneaks into Anil's room. And Anil is so spooked by what she just witnessed with Kua that she does something prematurely. So keep in mind, she was planning on doing this anyway, but she's like, this bitch pissed me off, so I'm doing this now. And she says to Pin, I don't want the story we own each other to just be vague words that are difficult to capture. So she goes to her bag and pulls out basically an engagement ring. And presents it to Pin and is like, please receive all my feelings through this ring. And Pin says, yes, I forever accept. And she gives her this beautiful, like, it's a Western style. They make this like a point. So like basically only Anil could have given the store. It's a Western style platinum, aka expensive as fuck, engagement ring with like a diamond on it. And it's definitely in the show.
Yeah, so then one of them, I keep thinking that it's Pin because it would make more sense. But yeah, I was trying to figure out who said it. Says, from now until old age, even death do us part. Someday I will be the one to give you a ring. Then they kiss. So basically, they just got married.
Yeah. I think actually, I don't remember who said that exactly. But yeah, basically, like, this is them saying, you're mine, like, officially. And like the reason Anil does this, so originally she wanted to do it because obviously she made a fucking palace for, like, she's been planning this for a very long time, let's be honest. And so she loves Pin and wants to like be with her forever is basically it. But what really motivates her to do it here is she's like, if you're wearing an engagement ring, all these men, aka Kua, will back the fuck off because they'll see the ring and be like, oh, you're promised to another person, another man, I will back off now. Because what the situation in the garden was that what ended up happening was like Anil had the headache, and so Pin went outside because she's like, oh, there's medicine in the car for your headaches. I'm going to go get it and bring it back so that you'll feel better. And so she tried to go outside, and Kua cornered her, and Pin was like, I kept trying to get him to leave me alone, but he wouldn't. So the problem is that in this point in time and in this society, Pin's at a disadvantage. So even if she's saying no, it doesn't thwart the man in any way, shape, or form. What thwarts the man is another man's claim. So like if she's wearing an engagement ring, which is what ends up happening, he's like, oh, I'll back off because I don't remember her wearing that, but like she's wearing that, which means another man already claimed her, so I can't go after her anymore. So like that's what Anil is trying to do. She's like, wear the ring and he'll leave you the fuck alone. Because I can't just be like, stay the fuck away from her, she's mine, kind of thing. Which is what she wants to do.
I wanna see imagination scene where she does tell him off like that.
I want the imagination scene where she slaps him. That'd be great.
All right.
Or in real life. It doesn't have to be imagination.
She does slap him later. You never know.
I'm here for that. All right. The other main point of this scene is that, okay, so Anil gives Pin the wedding or the engagement ring. And then at the end, Pin promises, someday I'll be the one to give you a ring. Like, you gave me one that says that I'm off limits. I want to give you one so that people know that you're off limits. And Anil says, I will wait. And like, again, patience of a saint, Anil. I'll wait for it. Because she's like, yes, I want that. I want that too, but I'll wait. And basically they spend the rest of this trip acting like it's their honeymoon, and it's really cute.
On the honeymoon discussion, Pin is also upset because Prick can easily interrupt the honeymoon as well. Because Prick's always around. But Anil has a solution for that. Which brings us to a short interlude where Anil takes Prick to go horse riding.
Oh, yeah.
And I want this scene because Prick is so happy on this horse. And then Pin shows up. And Anil's like, oh, you can have a turn now. Prick doesn't mind. And then internally, Prick's like, bitch, I'm not done here. I want to ride. And Pin doesn't even want to ride. She's terrified of this horse right now. So, what does Anil do? She does what she does best. Bribes Prick with money and tells her to go get a snack. And this makes everything better for Prick. And she jumps off the horse and takes the horse's actual owner to go get a snack. And I just love that. That's so now she's happy. Everybody's happy.
It is hilarious. And then, like, okay, what I also love about this, I mentioned earlier that once Pin has the engagement ring, and that's where she's like, this shit is real, her, like, confidence starts changing because she feels more secure in their relationship. And there's a lot of things that I think it happens in the scene where Anil has her inner monologue and she's like, that sounds like something a wife would say. Like, Pin starts acting like her wife. Like, she does. And like Anil picks up on it, like this change in Pin where she's like, I'm kind of into this. Okay.
There's a line later I think I highlighted where that comes back, and I love it.
Oh my god, especially when anytime Anil goes anywhere and Pin's like, you were good when you were gone, right? And I was like, yes, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. Anyway, yeah, Pin starts acting like a white. It's really funny. But it happens like immediately when she gets the ring. Okay, so unfortunately that plan doesn't stop the shenanigans of like Princess Padmika trying to wed off Pin to Kua. This is basically, if you watch Gap, this is the Grand Mam and Sam all over again. So he snitches to Padmika about Pin's new engagement ring. That just, he's like, it magically appeared on the second day of the trip. I don't know what happened. You told me she was single. Apparently she's not. So Padmika puts together who gave Pin the ring because she's been noticing for quite some time how Pin becomes more alive and happy when Anil's around. And she's particularly... So go ahead.
Just exactly what should happen when you're going to be with someone for your whole life.
Again, different society. Again, what Padmika thinks it's the Grand Mam and Sam. She thinks she's giving her security and like a life by marrying her to somebody who looks good on paper. That's what's happening here. That's what you're supposed to do as a lady, right? But but Padmika does love Pin. She does. And so like she does notice these things, but so she let it go for a long time because she noticed how happy Pin was around Anil. So she's let it go for like decades, basically, the way Pin acts around Anil. But now she's like, this is going too far because now you have an engagement ring. I'm pretty sure Anil gave it to you because basically Pin's been acting like she's on cloud 9 when she got back from this trip, and suddenly she has this new ring, and she's like, well, fuck, this is crossing lines now because, again, there's no legal way for them to do any of this. So she's like, Anil can't take care of you. Also, Anil's the fucking queen. She can't take care of there's a lot of complicating shit here for Padmika. So she's like, oh no. So she has to confront Pin about this, basically, because she has to, like, again, if she's going to make an accusation about the Princess Anil, she has to like confirm that it's real because Anil outranks her and all this shit. So they have a conversation and it blows up very fast. Very explosive.
Oh my gosh. I wonder why.
So Auntie knows this is an engagement, and she's like, I know this isn't just some jewelry she gave you. You're wearing it on your engagement. She's wearing it on her left hand on like the ring finger. She's like, you know what that means, right, Pin? Where you're wearing the ring? And Pin's like, I know. So like, and Pin denies nothing. Again, she's a different person once she gets the ring. And she's like, and I know what it means. Anil gave it to me. I'm never taking this off, just so you know. Like, because it means everything to Pin. And this is like, we've talked a lot about how like Anil's dedication to Pin is very obvious and has been going on forever. This is where Pin makes her stand. She's like, no, my commitment to her is just as strong. And she's like, this is never coming off. Like, this is the person I gave myself to. That's it. Like, that's it. So then Pin does what Pin does, and she just like cries, right? And seeing her I almost called her granddaughter. This is the gap. Seeing her niece, her adopted niece, yeah. Sorry, it's a very similar dynamic. It's a very similar story from here. Seeing her cry, like Auntie Pad, like relents because she does care about Pin's well-being. She does, and she thinks by marrying her to this lord, she's going to secure her future, and she thinks that that's what's best for her. But like when she sees how upset Pin is over Anil, like she does like relent. And one of the concessions in the book is that, which I like, is that Auntie Pad's like, okay, you never have to take off the ring. Like she sees how much it means to her, and she's like, okay, you can keep the ring. It's fine. Don't.
That's important to note for a later scene.
Yeah, it's important to know for shit we saw in the trailer I'm not happy about.
Oh yeah.
I don't like that change.
That was a bad change.
No. This is because, again, Pin's refusal. And like, okay, it keeps going, and she never takes the ring off. Never. Because that's showing her commitment to Anil and like how committed she really is. And so that is important, and I like that they wrote that in the book. And Pad understands that, and so that's her way of showing that, like, yeah, I care about you, and like I see your feelings, they're real, I get it, but like, what are you doing? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then something LGBT happens during this conversation where they're talking about the jewelry, and basically Auntie Pad starts playing with this ring on her right hand that she wears, and it's revealed that Her Royal Highness gifted it to her 20 years ago. And the bitch is still wearing this ring. So like
And
Auntie, like
playing
niece,
with it in deep thought.
in deep thought.
Mm-hmm.
Over this Anil and Pin situation. So that's pretty queer if you ever ask me. And we find out later, because at first I was reading this and I'm like, oh god, another one, Anil's mother, because her Royal Highness at this point is like the woman married to the king, and I'm like, fuck, were they together? What the hell? But how incestuous is
this?
Everything?
Isn't like this isn't.
I mean, with some of this, it kind of is.
It is actually.
It's incestuous drama. Whereas it's like, it's the whole group is into each other, basically. But the way this book works is basically like volume 1 and volume 2. If you haven't read it, basically they're like the first, like the bulk of the book is like the actual loyal pin, like the story. And then there's like these like special chapters basically at the end that are either like background scenes that didn't fit anywhere else. In volume 2, we get other characters' point of views, and like we get Auntie Pad's backstory and where this ring originated from. And it came from somebody. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
It came from somebody. Her Royal Highness was this woman named Princess M, and basically like Pad was like assigned to her basically when she joined the royal family kind of thing, and was like basically her prick in a way. Like she was like her lady in waiting kind of thing. And yeah.
I really want this storyline to happen.
Me too.
Even if it's just in one episode, because it seems pretty interesting. Oh
my god.
I like that chapter.
It's so sad though.
It is. Oh my god, it's so sad.
It's so sad and heartbreaking.
It will be a lot of pain, but I want to see it.
Knowing Idol Factory, they'll be like, yes. According to this, it's all the tears. But yeah, long story short, if they don't put it in, basically like they had this like Princess M was basically like she had some kind of like health problem. So this was like they were young teenagers, I think.
Yeah, chronic health issues.
Yeah, she had a chronic health issue that she ultimately dies from at a young age. And Padmika like took care of her basically and like formed a very, very strong bond with her. And like there were hints of like M liking her more than that, and like, but she never really, they never said anything to each other. So it was like classic like traditionalists back in the day where it's like conceal, don't feel your feelings kind of shit. But I'm sorry, that's the best way to say it. But when M knew she was at the end, basically, she gifted Padmika the swath of land where the Bua Palace happened because of Princess M. She's like, just take my money, it's fine. I'm gifting it to you, and like I'm building you a palace, and it's fine. And she basically gave it to her and gave her some money, like to secure her future, kind of thing. And then when she passed away, Pad got this letter basically from M that was basically was a love confession where it was basically like she's basically like in fancy language just saying, I've loved you this whole time and I never told you. If you feel the same way, here's this ring, wear the ring and never take it off as your way of remembering me and like what we had kind of thing. She's like, if you don't feel that way, put this in my jewelry box. People will take it away and you never think about this again. And here she is 20 years later, still wearing the ring, indicating like Pad understands what Pin is going through. And like, that's why she's like, keep your ring. I understand. And so like part of the conversation with Pin where she's like, how could you let it get this far? She's yelling at herself too. You know what I mean?
I kind of wish that special scene was intertwined with the book because I would have loved to have seen that scene while knowing this other stuff was going on.
Yeah.
Because it does put a lot into perspective. And it's so sad, but also cute. And if I'm going to have pain, I may as well get that pain.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. And it just, again, it like you said, it contextualizes Pin and Padmika's relationship with each other and like why Pad acts the way she does. Because she's like, I've lived this. I understand what she's going through kind of thing. And like Padmika never remarried and stuff. So she's just like, I just basically, that's what Pin would do. That's what Pin would have done. Pin would, if anything happened to Anil, forget it. Like Pin would like never, I don't even know. Who knows what happened. Pin would go into a depression, but like Pin would never remarry. Like, So I think that's what Padmika did. And she's like, I don't want this sad life for you, you know? Anyway, so go on, Kaitlynn.
I didn't know if we did this or not.
We basically did.
Okay. All right. So this goes along with your next scene that you're talking about as well. But another scene that I want is Pin is upset because Anil keeps coming home late and then also does not eat the food that Pin makes because of coming home too late. So Pin always ends up giving the food to Prick so it doesn't go to waste, which, you know, Prick is definitely not upset about.
No.
And one night, Anil shows up while Prick is eating. And Prick just starts talking about how Anil has been coming home late every night. And Anil is like, you talk like you're my wife. Which Prick responds, no, but your real wife. Oops. Kun Pin. She complains about this every day. Ow. I love it so much that I just hit myself in the face.
Oh my god.
I love it.
So funny.
It then evolves to Prick saying she deserves to die. I'm assuming because she ends up eating the food meant for Anil. And Anil says she has been going to bed hungry. Girl, that's your own fault. You know how to make food for yourself. You lived on your own for 7 years.
I'm guilt-tripping Prick.
And then I just love this whole thing. Anil says, please don't die. And Prick thinks that she's concerned about her. But then Anil starts saying, I'm afraid it will bring bad luck to my palace. If you will die, walk to the front palace to die.
You're such an asshole. I love that.
I just know that scene would just be portrayed perfectly between them, and I want it so bad.
Okay, here's the deal. We have a high chance of that happening because the scene that I love, which happens because of this, definitely happens. So, fingers crossed we get the whole thing. So, bottom line from Kaitlyn's scene is that Anil learns that Pin's upset that she keeps coming home late from college, basically. And she's complaining to Prick about it. So Anil's like, okay, how do I make her not mad at me, basically? How do I get my wife to be happy, essentially? So she starts this letter war, which is definitely in the show. And basically Prick is in the middle, unfortunately. So Anil's like, okay, Prick, let's make Pin not mad. Go take this letter to the Bua Palace. And basically they keep sending letters back and forth. And Prick has to transport them. She's just like, this better fucking end soon because I'm tired. Shit, it's so funny.
But like at some point, Pin does not give her a letter to send back, so Prick's all happy going back. Like, I don't have to do this anymore.
Oh my god.
And then continue.
Okay, so yeah, basically there's just a bunch of negging that happens where like Anil's trying to lure Pin over and Pin's saying no, and she's being stubborn. So it escalates to the point, like Kaitlynn said, where Pin's like, I'm not sending a message. And Prick's like, finally, we're fucking done. And Anil's like, okay, want to play like that? So Anil escalates things at that point. She's like, I know exactly what's going to get Pin to come over here. She's like, and Prick's like, another fucking letter? And she's like, no, it's not a letter. Which Prick is happy about. And then Anil tells her what she's going to do. And Prick's like, oh, fuck. So Prick goes to the Bua. This is definitely in the show because I have the screenshot for it. So Prick goes over to the Bua Palace and is like, and Pin's like, where's my letter? And Anil didn't send me a letter. And Prick's like, well, Anil wanted me to do. She's like, it's not a letter. Anil wanted me to do something for her. And Pin's like, what is it? And so Prick is like fidgeting and shit. And Pin's like, what is it, Prick? Without saying anything, Prick hugs Pin and kisses her on the cheek and then runs away at top speed.
I didn't see the screenshot before. This is hilarious.
It's perfect. No, it happens. Then Pin and Prick runs away. And as predicted, this works because Pin is so infuriated that Anil ordered Prick to do this that she goes straight to the Behind Palace to confront Anil. And she's like, why the fuck did you send Prick to kiss me? And Anil's like, I didn't. She's like, I didn't ask Prick to kiss you. I asked her to kiss you for me. That's fine, right? Prin's like, you son of a bitch. Oh my god. So again, Anil's so smart, but Pin's still pissed. So Anil's like, that's okay. I can fix this. I got a solution. She's like, how about I keep kissing you on the spot where Prick kissed you? And that way it'll like erase it. And so she starts doing it. And then she's like, are you less mad at me now? And Pin's like, if you do more than kiss my cheek, I might get over my anger faster. And I'm like, these thirsty idiots are so fucking funny. I need the whole scene.
Is gonna be fun.
This is gonna be so fun, this in the show. But no, somebody Prin's like, if you do more than this, maybe I'll be mad at you. Okay. But that was so funny. Poor Prick. Because Prick was terrified to go do this, but she's like, I have to because Anil told me to. This is so funny. Again, I'll say it a million times, but I just love that once Pin gets that engagement ring, this was a good scene too, like their scene here, because Pin is very, very secure in their relationship and like telling Anil what she wants and like doing stuff like this. Like usually she would just let Anil kind of guide everything, but at this point she's like, no, this is what I want. And Anil's like, absolutely. Anil likes being bossed around by Pin, let's be real. So it's cute. They're just much more like open with each other, which is very sweet.
I think that it's needed because it's about time that they understand that they're just meant for each other and that they don't have to worry. Because I know that you love the jealousy in media, but I find it exhausting. And I know it causes drama, but it's not my type of drama. I prefer messy dynamics like Blank.
A Blank's got jealousy too, but it doesn't last long. And it's like in here though, like the problem is that like because there's no, so what's different between about those two medias, there's a lot of things, but like in Blank, it's modern. So it's kind of like they could be together, you know, and be like publicly secure in their relationship. There isn't this threat of like a man's going to come in and take you away because that's what my parents want. You know what I mean? Like, whereas here it's like, it's hard for them to be secure in their relationship because there's this, like, particularly in this volume, there's this threat of like, Kua's going to take away Pin, like legally. And then like, there's this, it's not so much a threat, but there's the possibility that like the king is going to marry off Anil. So like,
I'm sorry. I was trying to get my dog to go on her pad.
I'm sorry.
I apologize. It didn't work.
I'm sorry. Do you need a second to deal with that?
Continue.
Okay. But anyway, so I get their anxiety. They're just like, it's hard because basically everything is working against them except what they can control, which is not a lot. So I get why they're anxious all the time, especially Pin, who's like, when she's not with Anil, she's trapped alone with her aunt who's trying to aggressively marry her off. So like, I get where her insecurity comes from. It's like, this isn't in her control, you know? So she feels like more if it's in her control, where like Anil's like, no, here's the ring. I'm definitely marrying you. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You know? So I get where that's coming from. Her insane jealousy though, where she's like, was the ocean white? That shit is just funny though, because I'm like, she's ridiculous, and her jealousy, it's so funny. And the way Anil handles her is so funny. Anyway. Okay, speaking of insane jealousy, let's go over to the Chowfa Palace, because I'm pretty sure this also happens in the show, and I think this is where we're starting to get like cultural elements from like why the Thai government like partnered with the project, like the TV show, because this takes place in a different like area of Thailand. It's more like the Northern Kingdom. And so I think this is where we get like different like costumes, like authentic like cultural costumes and things like that, and like dancing and things like that. So I'm excited to see that because I've never experienced it. So I'm excited for that. The reason they're there to visit, basically, I think Chow Fa is getting engaged. Well, she's courting some guy. She's in the midst of courting some dude, possibly getting engaged. And like Anil's whole family is there to like visit, kind of thing. And part of that is
it makes sense for the girl that she actually likes to show up during
correct drama. But also like Auntie Pad and Pin come along with like Anil's entire family, basically. Then when the minute they get there, Anil's like, I'm in a room with Pin. And she like insists on it in front of her own mother, and then like Pad, who's like, God damn it with these two. Like she's like, in front of my royal family, like, what are you doing? Like, and I was like, no. I love it. Anil's mother is trying to talk her out of it. She's like, aren't you just gonna annoy the shit out of Pin? And I was like, no, I'll be good. I don't like sleeping alone, and it's scary here and all this stuff. And I need her in my room. And finally, her mom's like, okay, fine, as long as Pin's okay with that, because like you're really fucking annoying. But all right. Oh my god, it's so funny. Like
she's like, Pin, if I were you, I would not do it.
Right? She's like,
sure.
It's so funny. Okay, then we're here. Really, the reason we're here is the fucking love triangle drama
trial
show. It's a trial. Oh my god, no, it's. I love the way this is told in the book, though, because the person who's observing all this bullshit is Prick, which is really funny. Because she's like the wallflower. She's like, I'm the servant. I'm, seen, not heard kind of shit. And she's the one observing all of the love triangle drama, and it's really fucking funny. So I'm just going to lay some of the groundwork, then you can take it away, Kaitlynn. So basically, Chow Yun-Fa is in love with Anil, which infuriates Pin, obviously. Meanwhile, the Grand Prince is in love with Chow Yun-Fa, which we talked about. They're cousins. First cousins. Okay. Also, Chow Yun-Fa has her own fiance, some man she's not really into. And he's like checking out all the women because he's a man. Prick is the one observing all of this, catches onto it, and describes this whole thing as a, quote, tangled up like a mess of yarn. Yes, that's exactly what it is.
I just love that Prick is able to figure out everything going on in the group just by observing them. She's literally just looking at their eyes, be like, oh, you're such an idiot.
Right. It's so funny.
It just shows the way that she needs to be able to read people in order to thrive in life because of her class, basically. And luckily, Anil did help her to learn to read and write a bit, because if she hadn't, this would be her only skill. So she probably worked on this from a very young age.
Yeah, she's just naturally smart. I think that's part of the reason why her and Anil got along so well. But speaking of Prick, then, okay, we get through this weird dinner where she's like, Prick is observing all this. She's like, wow, y'all some messy bitches. And then we pick up the next chapter with Prick waxing poetic about Chow Yun-Fa. And I'm like, is Prick into her too? Because she's like, she's so beautiful. And like all this stuff. And I'm like, what is happening in the
I think Prick is into everyone at this point. I think she would willingly just go with anyone. Especially if they brought her food.
I was just going to say, whoever has the food, Prick is it. Well, you know what? That's why Lockdown's playing her. In everyone. Oh my god. There's more. We're not done with the love triangles. Because then there's Kunun, who's in love with Anil. And then Kua, who wants to possess Pin. Are there more? Did I get them all?
Yeah, in here, yes, because there's more on the trip than here.
Which trip?
Hunhua.
Oh, okay.
Hua Hin.
I think that's pretty much everybody. Yeah, you're right. There's more. Oh my god. Okay, so that's that. It's so messy, but it's hilarious because it's just Prick being like, that's messy. Okay. All right. Then during this trip, the hairpins make a reappearance. So Anil insists that they wear them to the ceremonial dinner, which is really sweet. But remember, Chow Fa's mom is the one that gave her the pins. So she understands the significance of these pins. And Anil's like, let's wear them together here, where I got them from. But it's really sweet. And part of why she did it is because she's like, these are culturally significant to this part of Thailand, so let's wear them. That's part of her reasoning. But then also, like, it's a big snitch of what Anil's doing, which I think is also part of what she's doing.
I want everyone to know that I'm
correct. With this. That's what she's doing. She's trying to make low-key make a claim on Pin. That's what she's doing. Exactly. Because she's too smart not to realize this. But also, this shit gets messy with the two of them. So, okay. She gives her the hairpin, and she's like, you look great. And then the whole time, she's like, you look real hot in this outfit, this Lana woman outfit. And they're all into each other in their outfits and stuff. And then Pin, during this, gets emboldened and tries to wife Anil, basically. Because remember, Pin made the promise, I'm going to get you a ring one day. So she's working in a publishing firm. And so she saved up money and bought Anil a modest ring. She's like, listen, this is all I can afford right now, but I want you to wear it. Wear it on your right hand so you don't get questions like I'm getting questions. And Anil's not happy about that. She's like, what do you mean? Can I just take it off my right hand and put it on my left hand like you're wearing? Because like that, she also wants the people to leave her alone. Like she's also wants like Pin's claim on her kind of thing. And Pin's like, no. She's like, because I want to save up more money to buy you a ring suitable for that hand, like what you bought for me, basically. And then like Anil's like melting inside. She's like, I'll wait. Don't worry, I'll wait no matter how long. And she does, which is really sweet. Again, she has insane amount of patience, but she's like, okay, whatever you want, Pin, whatever you want. It's very cute. But these bitches are being messy in their room together, and basically like kissing happens, and there's lipstick, and then Auntie Pad notices, basically. So
of course, if there's lipstick involved.
Well, first thing is the hairpins that tip her off. Because Auntie Pad's like, why the fuck is my niece wearing this? And then Neil's like, I gave it to her. Then Pad notices that like there's a lipstick print on, I think it's like Pin's arm, or somebody's arm, and she's like, it matches her lipstick, and there's a lipstick on my niece that matches your. Oh god, these messy hoes. So they out themselves, basically.
Yeah, I mean, like, the fact that no one else knows at this point is a miracle.
It's amazing.
Like, they're not subtle people.
No, not at all. Well, I think they're tired of being subtle. They're just like, enough. This is because it feels very real to them. They're taking this all very seriously, and they're like, enough with the bullshit. But here comes the bullshit, basically. So after this trip, Auntie Pad directly confronts Pin again about this, and this is, of course, the heartbreaking fight is 100% in the show because there's screenshots from it.
Yeah, she tells Pin that Anil is out of her league, which Anil wouldn't say so.
Okay, yeah, I love the way this is phrased, but yeah, it's more than just she's a woman kind of thing. So basically, Auntie Pad starts with, don't you respect me anymore? So, like, again, demonstrating that, like, Auntie Pad does love Pin, and she feels a real connection with her niece. But also, this is about respect. I'm your elder. I'm your guardian. She takes her duties very seriously. Like, she's always waiting on the, Anil's family, but yada, yada, yada. And part of her duty as guardian to Pin is to set her up for success. So she's hurt on two levels. She's hurt on the fact that, like, you're lying to me after I just confronted you about this, and now you're doing this in public. And also, like, I'm trying to set you up with a man who's going to make you successful, and you're, like, throwing that in my face. So she's hurt on multiple levels. And she lists a bunch of reasons why this is inappropriate. And my favorite is the one you said, where she talks about Anil being out of her league. And the way she describes it is like, you're trying to drag down the sky to your level. That's my favorite way she phrases it. Because again, like, Anil's royalty, so she's like untouchable. She's above and untouchable. And she's like, you're trying to take the whole, like act like God, basically, and like pull the sky down to you. And like, damn.
And you can tell how much love that Pin has for her aunt, because when Padmika was asking where she went wrong, and she's like, I always try to raise you right, basically the normal arguments that adults make. Pin says, it's not your fault, it's my fault. I let myself go because I was crazy and obsessed. Please don't blame yourself, and do not weep for your wicked niece. And they both don't want to be the reason the other is upset. Because we saw that with the ring earlier.
Yeah.
That Padmika was like, all right, you can keep the ring. I mean, I hate right now that Pin is thinking that she is the worst person ever just for loving someone. But, I mean, I get that it's a time period. I'm just meaning, in general, I hate that.
Yeah, but it's also like that whole thing where it's like, again, they were in their honeymoon phase where it's just the two of them. And when it's just the two of them, it's uncomplicated and everything's great. But then when you start bringing other people back into it, and like how your actions do influence and affect other people, that's when it starts getting complicated. And that's just anything in life, really. But at the end of the day, like, they're like, for Pin, like, this is her only family. Like, her parents are dead, like. And same thing for Pad. Like, her family's basically are dead too. Like, she's adopted, and she's like, you're my only family. And it's like, that's what makes this even harder. And she's like, I thought we were in this together, and like, you're kind of betraying me in a way. And like, vice versa. And it's like a growing pain they have to go through and kind of work through, and they're at the stage where they're just clashing with each other, right, and like making each other sad.
I wonder if she's also jealous of Pin because Pin does get her girl.
Pin was bold enough
Meanwhile,
to do
she
it.
didn't even know that her girl liked her until she was dead right beside her.
That's so sad and wicked. But okay, but like the thing with Pad is that Pad, even then, is portrayed as somebody who just strictly follows the rules and doesn't deviate from them. And there were scenes when like Im was alive and like basically made a pass at her and like nothing happened, because it's like, again, Padmega would never even think that because that's not part of the rule book. So it wasn't until she was alone to be like, oh, she basically did what Pin did. When Pin's like, I don't understand why I feel like this around Anil. And then she finally like read her diary. She's like, oh, I'm in love with her. That's why. Okay, got it. Like, it's the same kind of, they're the same person in a way, where she's like, oh, it's when she has the letter when she's like, fuck, that's what this was? I'm such an idiot. Like, she missed her chance to do anything. But like, Pin is like, fuck that. I'm going to do it.
I wonder if she's like kicking herself now.
Yeah,
especially
totally.
when she sees Anil and Pin together, being like, I could have had more of happiness back then.
Yeah.
If I would have just realized what was happening.
Right. Yeah.
And felt comfortable enough to just go for it, like her nieces.
Yeah. Yeah. But unfortunately, we are where we are. And Auntie gets more and more serious about Pin getting engaged to Kua, because she's like, you need to marry him so this can just end. And Pin's like, I don't love him. Why the hell would I do that? And as Auntie's arguing, she has like her own gay thoughts, basically, where she's projecting onto her niece, where she says, love, can the person you love the most, aka Anil, be touched? Meaning, like, she's out of your league. Have you forgotten who you are? Most importantly, she's a woman like you. And because the quote, Princess Pradnika's face twisted with pain when she told the reason why Pin, quote, couldn't love was because Princess Pad had herself repeated those words until she had memorized them the same way. So after she realized what the hell was going on with Im and realized what her feelings were, I think she did maybe know with Im and told herself over and over again, this can't happen, this can't happen, this can't happen, this can't happen. And then when she finally had the letter, she's like, it's too late. You know, so I think she did know and just convinced herself no, because that's not part of the rules. That's not part of the rules. And she regrets that. You're right.
Yeah. I found the whole scene rough to read in general, just because it's real. Like, and it's going to be hard to watch.
Oh,
I hope this whole thing is in there. But it reminds us of just the hell that LGBTQ plus people have to go through just to be themselves in this world. And we never mentioned this, but I'm extremely happy that they would be able to get married today.
Congrats, Thailand. I think we mentioned it
about time. Yeah, we might have, but we didn't in the Loyal Pin one.
All right. So essentially, this ends with Pad being like, okay, well, until you can marry Lord Kua, I'm forbidding you from going to the Pine Palace anymore. You don't need to go there. You don't need to feed Anil anymore. That's over. I need to separate you two. And Pin basically says in her dramatic self, if I don't see Princess Anil's face, I'll suffocate to death. Which Pad's like, okay, do it then. Which, like, she like challenges her, but like Pin over time gets more and more depressed and basically like sticks to her words a little bit.
But her actual response is, I'll wait and see if you will suffocate to death in front of me or not. Yeah.
Yeah. So as you can imagine, this ultimatum causes a lot of suffering for Pin and Anil. And then we get to a point where Anil reaches her breaking point. And this is one of my favorite scenes too. I need it so badly. This is the cloth metaphor scene, if you've read the book. So basically, Pad is pushing Pin into getting engaged. She's like, next step is you need to officially be engaged to him. But before they can do this, it's protocol that they have to like get the blessing of the family, basically, which is like Anil's family, and be like, is this cool? So Auntie Pad takes Pin to the front palace to make her case for like Pin to get engaged, because it's not just he's marrying her, he's entering their whole family. So like that's the whole thing. It's like marriage is a business contract. So she has to be like, is this guy good enough? Are you guys cool with that? For him to come into our family, which is above his kind of thing. But she didn't count on Anil being at this, okay? Because she's at the front palace, because she's avoiding the Pine Palace, because she's upset over Pin. Okay, so here's here's who's there. Okay, so we have Anil, her mother, the Grand Prince. Remember, the one that loves Anil like a daughter. He's there. So Auntie Pad gets them all there, and she's like, fuck, Anil's here, but I gotta do this. So she announces the plan for the engagement. And then Anil is the one who argues on Pin's behalf because Pin is being the dutiful daughter who's just being quiet and just demure and all that shit. And she starts acting like Pin's lawyer, basically. And she traps Pad in this lie that this is what Pin wants. And Anil's like, I know for sure that she does not want this. And her family starts making comments because they're shocked that Anil is being aggressive about this. And she's never aggressive. And she's doing this with her own family member, which is really weird. And so what she's doing is Anil is basically disrespecting Auntie Pad in front of the whole royal family is what she's doing. And so Auntie Pad asks, are you calling me a liar, Anil? And then we transition into the cloth metaphor that I love really, really a lot. So Anil says, I say this according to the cloth, which is a Thai idiom that basically means to say as it's supposed to be. Like this, and she's like, I'm saying the truth, basically is what it means. And
I'm
then
really
Pad's
glad
like,
that they explained the idioms.
yeah. And Pad asks, what is your cloth? So what is your truth, basically? And Anil runs with this fucking metaphor. And it's the most beautiful speech ever of all time, because it's Anil, right? And to me, the way she describes this, because she describes first like Kua's cloth that he's giving to like his truth towards Ben, and then like hers. And it reminds me of the Taylor Swift song When Emma Falls in Love, the way she describes men and the way she describes women in that song. And it's just very different, where she's like, it's a boy that looked like a man. That's her description. And then the woman is like, she's Cleopatra. She's like all these things. That's what Anil basically does with the cloth metaphor. So it's right. So basically, she's like, the cloth you're trying to give Pin, which is about Kua, she's like, that's a rough woven cloth. Like, she's like, to begin with, meaning it's bullshit. And she's like, and you're trying to take that cloth that's a piece of shit and then dye it and make it look better than it actually is. Okay, that's your proposal for Pin to marry Kua, right? And it's from like this conversation at this point, like Pad starts to realize her big mistake here is that she's like, okay, I'm not just breaking Pin's heart, I'm actually breaking my precious little niece's heart as well. And like, it doesn't sit, this whole thing doesn't really sit well with her because she can see how much Anil really loves her in this scene. And it's like, she's like, oh, I didn't really take this into account so much because she's only been dealing with Pin, right?
Yeah. I feel like people are assuming that Pin is the one who wore Anil down or something into liking her, since Anil is a higher position. But they forget that Anil has always been strong in her thoughts and actions. And by forbidding Pin to see Anil, Auntie Pad is going against Anil.
Yes.
And she's supposed to be more powerful than her, so...
Yeah, this was a mistake. Okay, so then with that, so like, Pad starts putting it together. She's like, oh shit, like you really do love my niece, basically. So then Anil catching on to this is like, so with that, can you see the cloth representing my feelings towards Pin? And she's, again, saying this in front of her mother and her oldest brother. Just remember this. And she basically pours her entire heart out here. And she basically says, okay, you can't picture it. Let me paint a vivid picture for you. She's like, my cloth for her is woven of gold and silver, like the hairpins. It's intricate and a delicate pattern. Quote, I've spent half my life tirelessly weaving it. So like telling her like I've been courting her for years, basically. Okay, then when that metaphor doesn't entirely seal the deal, Anil gets real in front of everybody and proclaims that like if anybody is suitable for Pin, it's me. And she's like, I'm not asking to legally marry Pin. We're not asking to have a ceremony or embarrass anybody or whatever. She's like, we just want to live our quiet little lives in the Pine Palace. That's why I built it. And like, we're just asking that you guys don't force us to marry other people. That's it. Like, that's all I want. And like, says it straight up, just like that. And basically her brother's like torn because he's like, he loves her like his own daughter. He's like, if you ask me for the moon, I would go get it for you. Like, he's that kind of brother where he like loves her so much. He's like, I would give you anything. But he's like, I don't see how I could give you this. If I could, I would. I don't understand how I could do this. He's like, you're royalty. You're going to have to marry another royal. That's just the way it is. I don't see how I can get you out of that. And Anil, who has clearly thought about this, is like, okay, if that's the case, I'll resign my royal status and take Pin and we'll go live somewhere else. So she was like already ready to be like, no, I don't care about any of this. I just want her. Like, that's it. And this like all hell breaks loose after that.
At this point, I was like trying to think what that would look like, because Anil hasn't known anything other than being royal. So at first I was picturing like the two of them in a cabin in the middle of the woods, and
Pin would hate that.
I was just, they go somewhere, okay?
They do go somewhere.
But then, yeah, do you think that Anil would have trouble getting used to being a commoner?
No, I think she would do better because so part of when she comes back, like from Europe, like Pin keeps doing things for her, and then she's like, Anil, why are you cooking? Anil, why don't you have a million servants? And she's like, I got used to this when I was in England. She's like, I didn't have servants in England. Like, that's why Prick didn't go with me. You can't have people that you enslave, essentially. Like, that's not proper over there. So, like, yeah, she's already used to that. I think she would adapt more than Pin. Pin knows nothing but the palace. That's why I'm like, cabin in the woods, Pin would never. She'd be like, who do I make these men praying for and stuff? And like, she would never be able to adapt to that.
No, I figured out what they do. They are the ones who founded the Isle of the Lesbos.
There it is. And I'm pretty sure Prick would run away and go with them.
Yeah, I mean, they need someone to actually run the place.
Also, like, give Prick her freedom and, like, let her do whatever she wants. Anyway. Okay, so that was Anil.
No,
Anil basically
just has all the ladies. No, she's just all the ladies and all the men and all the theys and all the thems.
Yep. So that's that. And then, all right, so Anil laid it all on the line, basically. And then Pin is in the room. At this point, Pin has said nothing. Okay. So after she hears Anil's vow to give up her family, that's way too much for Pin. So instead of letting Anil make that sacrifice for her, Pin sacrifices herself instead. She's like, don't do that. Don't renounce your title. I'll marry him. Whatever.
Yeah, because Pin knows what it's like to not have a family. And yeah, like, she has her aunt, but she doesn't have siblings, and her parents are gone, like we said. She doesn't want to know that, give everything up for her. She probably doesn't even think that she is worth giving up everything.
No.
Like, could you imagine someone giving up the royal title for you? Like, no, I would just feel like they would resent me the whole time.
Right. Again, because it's like, she loves Anil. She doesn't want Anil to have to sacrifice, so, like, it blows up like this. Yeah, totally. But in Pin's mind, though, the reason she does this is that, but also she's like, Anil can keep her family, and we can be close together, because I'll keep living in the Bua Palace. She'll live in the Pine Palace. We'd still see each other. I just have this man I have to deal with now. It'll be fine. And Anil can still be a princess and, like, have her life. But Anil doesn't see it that way. She's just like, but that means you're going to have a legal husband that you're going to have to fucking live with right in front of me. And I'm forced to now watch this. So, like, she's like, that's worse than death. Basically, it was how Anil feels.
And that's valid. Because it is a slap in the face to have to see the woman that you love with another man right in front of the home you built for the two of you.
Yeah, literally.
And like, even if that was Pin's plan, was like, still, they could still technically be together, you need to tell Anil that beforehand.
But like, oh, no, it's just like, that's definitely not going to work. Okay, so then, this is where I have issues with the show already. In the trailer, basically, their breakup that happens after this involves Pin returning the engagement ring to Anil. I don't like this at all, because, spoiler, in a minute we're going to talk about Pin going through with the wedding. Pin is still wearing the engagement ring at the wedding with, like, she never takes the fucking thing off. And like, I love this detail because it's, again, a symbol of how committed she is to Anil the whole fucking time, even when she's making this sacrifice as the way she sees it. So I don't love that she takes the ring off and gives it to Anil. I really don't like that in the show.
It's more powerful that she was going to get married with that ring.
Right. Ugh, I don't love that. Okay. Anyway, so then this all goes into a whole full blown. So basically, she gets engaged to Kua, and Anil and Pin basically avoid each other for while the wedding arrangements are happening. But eventually they see each other to like express their reasons, like we kind of just went to. And Anil is basically so heartbroken about this that she's like, I cannot watch you be married to this man. Like, I just can't. So Anil's like, I'm going back to Europe and I'm staying there. Like, I can't watch this, like, and witness this. Like, and that's what shatters Pin, because she, like, her illusion that like she did the right thing. She's like, oh fuck, I did the wrong thing. And it was like, when I said I was all in, I meant I was all in. I thought we were gonna fight together, and then you basically gave up. That's how Anil kind of sees it. And she's like, I'm not gonna watch this. You'll never see me again. Like, it's one of those things where it's like there's some people you can't be friends with when you break up with. Like, this is Anil. She's like, I can't witness this. I will leave forever.
So in the trailer, there's her leaving in a car when they're older, and I'm like, does she actually leave for Europe?
I don't think so, because remember, to get back to the front palace you have to take a car. I think this is just her leaving. No, I don't think she actually goes anywhere. Okay. But who knows, maybe. But I'm pretty sure that's just her going back to the palace, because she stays at the front palace the rest of the time. She doesn't go back to the Pine Palace because she doesn't want to see the engagement. She doesn't want to see Kua. She's avoiding Pin. For like the rest of the book, she stays in the Pine Palace until like this is all resolved, basically. So I think that's where she's going.
That's fair. During one of the ceremonies, because apparently there's a lot of ceremonies to happen, Kun Kua's mom, Lady Lamom,
who cares?
Kun Kua's mom asked Pin if she could take off the ring that is already on her finger. And like we mentioned earlier, Auntie Pad knows how much this ring means to Pin from personal experience. And she tells Kun Kua's mom that she should ask Pin if she even wants to take off the ring. So Kun Kua is embarrassed because the ring that he gave Pin is nowhere near as nice as the ring that Anil gave her.
Good job, Anil.
And so Padmika tells him that now, okay, fine, it's your job to find a better one before the wedding, or she wears that.
Auntie Pad's feeling the guilt.
And I feel like for Pin, by allowing with Padmika allowing her to keep the ring on with the wedding, I think it gave her a little bit more security. A quote, no matter how she forced me to follow her thoughts, at least she hadn't broken my heart to such an extent that she forced me to die.
God, the drama.
And so, yeah, basically, she was just happy that her aunt wasn't making her get rid of all of the evidence of her actual love and let her keep that connection, even if it was just something very small.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really small in the grand terms of like a wedding, because like that's another person's ring on her, on her ring finger.
Nan has made it very clear she does not care about this man, and this man also doesn't care about her. He's doing this for status, so he's almost like, whatever. It's more so he feels embarrassed. That's what he hates. Not that Pin's unhappy, that he's embarrassed. That's all you gotta know about him. So thankfully,
well, we do have to know more, but Anil helps us with that.
Yes, thankfully Anil enacts revenge before she leaves forever. So, being Anil, she has to shoot all the shots she possibly can before Pin marries this deadbeat. So she recruits her eldest brother and Prick to help dig up dirt on Lord Kua. And then Prick and the brother basically do this buddy cop stuff, which I need so badly because this was hilarious with the two of them. And basically they tail Lord Kua. They find out he impregnated a woman, promised to marry her, bought her this house in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, and kept her hidden there while she goes through with the pregnancy. And then he was planning to marry Pin and ditch her because Pin has status. So he's herpes.
Oh my god. It came back to that. Oh my gosh. As you naturally do. I want to point out the fact that the brother and Prick are in disguises. And I just feel like this would be more hilarious in the show. While waiting in the restaurant, Prick is like, well, we may as well get a bunch of food while we wait. And then she turns to the brother. She's like, you got this, right?
So funny. I need this so badly.
Also, on the stakeout, I think it is very telling when the Grand Prince is like, this is going to take forever. And Prick is like, what? Like, whatever, you can sleep and I'll take care of it. And then the Grand Prince immediately just reclines the chair or whatever. He falls asleep. And Prick mutters, born to be a slave, you must be patient. And it's a great reminder of that even though Anil has given her certain privileges, she is still basically a slave and has different expectations on her.
Yeah. Working class versus upper class shit. Yeah, it's classism still there, everyone, even though this is a cute story about these weird royals. Thanks, Prick, for keeping it real. Okay, so Prick is the one who does everything, basically. The brother's just money and a car.
Yeah.
So Prick tells the pregnant woman everything. And basically, the woman crashes Pin and Kua's wedding, and she's very pregnant, and spills the beans there. And after hearing this, the king, Anil's father, calls off the whole wedding because he cannot let this deadbeat who impregnated a girl was going to ditch her, like making Pin the second wife. He's like, not in my family. Absolutely not. I don't need this embarrassment. He's like, this is now null void. It's over. And it's an amazing moment of triumph, but like, what a waste of fucking money to get all the way to this big ass wedding for this little bitch to ruin it by being a skis ball, you know?
Yeah.
He's the fucking worst.
I actually love this storyline from the very beginning. Like, it's so messy. I love it.
It's great.
And it came out of nowhere.
It was great.
And like, there was no other way to break this up, I feel like.
Without Anil crashing the wedding, yeah. Well, okay, the other way they were going to do it, and they're like, if this woman doesn't show up, basically Anil's brother was going to like call him out in front of everybody, which would have made him look worse for doing this at the wedding, but like he was willing to like stand up for Anil, which is also really sweet. Like her brothers love her so much. Her whole family does. It's very cute. Yeah. Okay. But now that we've cured the herpes, they can get their happily ever after, which is really great. So let's wrap this up. So after the wedding debacle, Pin is in really bad shape because Anil's not here to witness any of this. Remember, she's avoiding Pin. She just set all this up in the background. And Pin is like not eating, she's not sleeping, and because she's really upset, and is basically sick, to the point where she's really sick. And Anil finds out because now everything's cleared, and she goes and talks to Auntie Pad and is like, can I take care of Pin? Because Pin is like not doing well. And Pad's like, you're the only one who can cure her of this, let's be honest. Go ahead, go take care of her. So she gets permission to like take care of Pin at the Buob house, which is new because usually they were always at the Pine Palace. And that's what Anil does. She basically like starts feeding her. She's like, I'll feed you a little bit. And you ask me a question. If I answer, you get to eat food. That's the deal. It's like question for food. And it gets Pin to eat like all the food, basically. And so Pin starts like slowly coming back to life in Anil's presence, which has been a constant theme. And basically Anil makes the promise not to, she's like, I'm not going to go to Europe. Like, I'm not going to leave Thailand. I'm not going to leave you. I'm going to spend every night with you. And she ends up like spending that night with Pin. And she's like, I will hold you just like this. And like, I'm never leaving you again. And like, that's where it ends. And yep, webcam, you're right. Webcam said gay rights.
Oh, webcam gave a thumbs up for you, whoever is listening.
It did, because this is the cutest part of the whole thing.
Yes.
So then we get to the conclusion. So Anil then is like, okay, all the chess pieces are on the board. Now I have to just deal with my family. Because we got Auntie Pad is on my side. Because the first Pin's like, what do you mean you're staying here? Doesn't my aunt care? She's like, your aunt told me I could stay. So we're good there. And then Anil's like, I got to deal with my family. So this time she goes to her father. Because she didn't rope him in last time. He's like, I love this conversation. She's like, how come everybody knew about this but me? He's like, Anil didn't tell him. She's like, well, I had to build up to you. You're in charge. So anyway. Also, she's like, I didn't plan that shit. It just happened. So anyway. So she's trying to have a one-on-one conversation with him, but her oldest brother shows up to talk to him, and they end up all talking together. Because like basically her two dads are in the room is basically what's happening. And basically she makes the case that like she wants to unofficially marry Pin and wants just basically him to promise not to marry her off to anybody. That's all. She's like, I just want to be with her and live our quiet little lives in the corner where no one can see us, and like just don't marry me to a man. And it's a really sweet conversation. And like basically the outcome is the dad's like, well, there's no one good enough for you anyway. So I'm glad you want this because I didn't want to marry you off to inferior men, which like, yeah, no one's good enough for her. And it's very cute. It just confirms that she is in fact the favorite. And his reasoning is like, I kind of like the idea of Pin for you because she's beneath you. And I don't like all these men would somehow be above you. And that's bullshit because you're better than them. And so he's like, I kind of like this arrangement because you get to be on top here. And he's like, that makes sense in my brain. And it's really cute. So I love that. And the brother is also in agreement because he is like her father figure and also feels the same way about his sister. He's like, I've met some of these men. None of them are good enough for her. And like, they would outrank her and that's bullshit. And so I love that they're just like, okay, give her what she wants. It's very cute.
Unfortunately, in this conversation, we also get a moment where the Grand Prince admits to still being in love with his cousin.
Just continues to the end.
And I feel like, especially if this is in the show, this is going to be another Ya and Chin situation where he compares it to being gay and like, you know, forbidden love, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I mean, it's low-key admitted that like everybody here has an unrequited love situation going on. Some people talk about it. It's hinted that the king had something, but he never talks about it. I'm just like, oh, whatever. Get back to the gays.
So basically, everyone is unhappy except Anil now that they are letting her break tradition.
Exactly. So be gay and be happy. That's the Monmaw's trying to say with this story. So after that, everything's settled with the family. Then we get a time jump to the end of the book. And basically, Anil and Pin get their cozy little life in the Pine Palace. The Grand Prince at this time has a daughter. So he has his little miniature Anil. He even like names her kind of after Anil a little bit because he always wanted his own little Anil that was officially his. So he got what he wanted. So he's also kind of happy.
I'm like, I don't remember what the daughter's name is.
No, it's like a long,
but,
it's like.
No, I know, but I think, is it Anin? Like, is it
was?
Because it'd be interesting if it's that.
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, it's like it has to do with Anil means wind, so like the name kind of has to do with the wind. So it's named after Anil in kind of a way. And Pin, what's really cute is that Pin and Anil low-key adopt her because she loves them the most and like insists on going to the Pine Palace every single day, mostly to see Pin. She's like in love with Pin. And they think about her as their daughter, and it's very cute. So they get this little domestic life and family, and it's like the perfect ending for them. It's very sweet.
It was so cute, but so you also can't forget about Aunt Prick because I love the little girl and Prick together, and I really, really want the scenes of the two of them together. Oh, it's Alan. So little Alan, Aline, whatever. I'm sorry, guys. Next time we'll look up pronunciations.
It's okay.
But she tells Pin that she wants to go climb trees with Prick again, and Prick just pretends to look at the sky when Pin looks at her like, are you kidding me? You let her climb trees? And then when Pin finally leaves, Prick says to the girl, my lady, if you want to have fun next time, you mustn't tell Pin. Okay, so then I just love that she's like, you can't tell her if I let you climb the trees because she's just not going to let us have fun anymore.
It's cute though because it bookends because the book started with like Prick and Anil climbing plum trees, and Anil gets hurt, and that's how they end up at Pins. So it's cute that it's like a bookend of like just like her namesake, like the little girl's just like her.
Yeah, they definitely really play into it. That they're the same person.
It's cute.
But then she plays a restaurant game with Prick, and she tells Prick the total for this imaginary food, and Prick tries to give her imaginary money, to which Aline says she only accepts real money, and she's gonna grow up to be a great con artist.
Absolutely.
I did not grow up to be a con artist, but I did something similar, and I sold fake hot dogs for real money
Oh my
to
God, Kaitlynn.
people. No one stopped me when I was little, and people gave me the money, okay? So I was really good at getting money when I was younger.
I see that. All right, well, that's the end of the Loyal Pin Volume 2. So, like, the show is going to have some pain. It's going to end in a happy way. Like, I can't wait. I'm so excited for the show. This book was always great. Okay, other thing I gotta mention, because you didn't read the full end with all, like, the stories.
I only read the first special chapter.
That's okay. You're going to want to. And this is why I was like, maybe it ends, maybe not. Okay, so the last chapter in the book, spoiler, is a prick point of view. So it's older prick. When older prick is courting everybody. Yeah, prick's got mad game. And she's got all these men coming after her. And, like, basically she's picking her suitor by, like, who can make the best food, is obviously. And so, and then it like, the very last chapter, like, shoots ahead in time to this restaurant. And, like, there's these people there, and then some older woman comes into the restaurant, and they're like, oh, prick? And then it's like, to be continued. So I'm like, I think maybe we'll get a volume 3 from Prick's point of view. I hope. Who knows? I know. I wasn't expecting that, so. Gotta go read it.
What the hell, Faye? You should have told me. I needed to make sure I read it.
I have left that tantalizing detail for you to find out on your own. So, okay, we've come to the end of our discussion. Taylor Swift songs for Volume 2.
You Belong With Me.
Yes, also paper rings, but diamond rings, because no.
Yeah, no, the two of them. That's what I did. I literally thought about paper rings in this, and I was like, no, because
diamond rings.
Anil would be like, no, we're not getting married with paper rings. I'm getting you a real diamond. I can get it like that for you.
Oh shit! I also forgot to mention at the very end, Pin does give Anil like a diamond ring, and that's how it ends. And puts it on her left hand, and that's like the end of the book. It's very cute.
It's very
anyway,
cute.
Okay. Big gay energy award. What got your big gay energy award from this book?
Can you go first?
Anil's sweet tongue, because damn. The way Prin keeps bringing that up, and it's so funny, and then Anil runs with it.
Also, I know.
Thirstiness is also gets the Big Gay Energy Award.
Big Gay Energy Award, just the entire conversation and them letting Anil not get married off, and them living happily ever after together, unmarried.
I agree. And Anil's cloth metaphor also. So much big gay. The fact that she did that in front of her family, it was just unplanned, and was just like, I've been doing this half my life. I am more worthy to marry her. And I was like, oh, damn, girl. In the 50s, this girl's out here doing this shit. Anyway. All right, Kaitlynn, what is your secret word for the people at home?
It's the ma prong thing.
Again? Oh, ma prong. Okay.
That was ma prong, like the little dessert thing that...
The dessert. I really want that now. That makes. Okay, do it. All right, so that was the Loyal Pin. After this, the show should be coming out. So hopefully, let us know what you guys thought. We'll be around for that. And until next time, hydrate for lesbian Jesus.
And gayed up all over the place. Bye.
And with that, we've been Big Gay Energy. If you like this episode, check out all our other episodes right here on YouTube.
Please like, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more amazing super gay content.